Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
We're talking today about spiritual understanding, an embodied knowing of the power of God, the truth of God. It's so, well, we just had it. There it is. But I'm going to keep talking if that's okay. Another pastor was in another church, and he had publicly declared to the community that he was going to get right in his food and his eating. He was going to lose 30 pounds, and he was going to give up sweets. And he did pretty well. He even changed the way he drove to church because his favorite bakery was right on the way. Well, on one Tuesday morning, he showed up with a big chocolate layer cake. It's a prayer meeting. And the people in the group said, "Pastor, what's happened here?" And he said, "Well, it was out of my control. God did this." He said, I accidentally drove on my old way to church, and I passed the bakery, and I said, "God, if it's your will that I stop in there to find something delicious to eat, I want you to make sure there's a parking space for me right up front." And on the 12th time I came around the block, there it was. God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. My goodness. So today, I feel like we're moving into the deep mystical portion of this wonderful book by Dr. Emily Cady. We learned about the philosophical underpinnings of unity, that we are one with God. We learned about the techniques that we have to move into alignment with that truth, our denials and affirmation. And today we talk about spiritual understanding. And what Emily Cady is telling us is that this is more than just knowing about stuff. It's not just an intellectual thought. It's beyond intellectual understanding. It is a realization is the term I learned in my metaphysical studies. To make something real is to realize it. It's not just, oh, I realize that God and I are one. No, it is that is real in me. And I'm changed by that kind of knowing. That we may say we understand that God is abundant, but unless we live from that abundance into our giving and receiving in the way we walk this earth, we don't have spiritual understanding of it. So we are invited this week into a deeper walk with truth. This is, I love our theme, Transformed by Truth. Today is where it happens. This is the part of the teaching where it ceases to just be something we think about, and it is something we live. Dr. Cady says, understanding is a spiritual birth, a revelation of God within the heart of man. I'm going to repeat a metaphor that I used a few weeks ago because it feels alive in me. When I would be learning a piece of music in my piano studies, I would know the notes on the page. I had an intellectual understanding, and then I could even put it into a muscle memory by learning how to play the notes in a certain way to repeat what the composer had in mind, and I could create the succession of the notes in the right order at the right timing. But it wasn't in me yet. But there would come a point in learning a piece of music when something happened, it changed, something was birthed, it became alive in me, and I was no longer thinking about the notes or my fingers. I was in the music, and it would pour out of me. I remember in my sophomore or junior year in college, I was a composition major in the music department, but I also got to study with the piano majors, that I was, at least at that level, that I got to have the better pianos for rehearsing and have the better teachers. And There was a piece by Debussy that I loved. It was the Sarabande for the piano suite, and it was these slow movement with these big, rich chords and this movement. I can feel it. It was so powerful, and I remember when that piece of music came alive in me. It was the first perfect jury I had ever gotten in my music studies. It's still, I couldn't play it today unless I worked on it some more to get it back in my body that way, but it was powerful and alive. That's what I'm speaking of. That's a metaphor for us about how our spiritual studies, our spiritual practices, our truth that we talk about can begin to move into our life at that level where it's alive. And that's the word that I want to begin today, is by talking about what is it that's alive in us. My friend Maggie Cole, who was here in March, she spoke on the stage with me. Her favorite question to ask, and I love it too, is, what's alive in you, honey? What's alive in you? And it is in those places where we're most feeling our very lives that I believe we can begin to pull these truths from the head down into the heart, into the body, into our lives. And so there are three ways that I want to talk to us today about how to tap into the aliveness that's already in our lives and apply the spiritual truth in a way that we can be changed, expanded. We can evolve our experience and our expression in life. Are you on board? Well, I have chosen three words that begin with the letter P. There's no magic in that. That's just what I came up with today, and I'm sure there are more. But there are three things I want to talk about as a place in our lives where we can find the aliveness of spirit, that beautiful marriage of humanity and divinity. I want to talk about our possibility. I want to talk about our pain. I want to talk about our purpose. Now, I recognize that we are a community of hundreds of people, and we have people that have been on the metaphysical student path for decades. We have people that are brand new in this creative teaching that we call unity. And I also recognize that we all just go through stuff. There are seasons in life. And so if you are in a time of great struggle and pain, this too shall pass. And if you're not in a time of great struggle and pain, this too shall pass. That we don't graduate from being human because we're spiritual. What happens is that we change the way we show up in struggle when we are on the spiritual path. And for those of you who are in pain today, congratulations. This is your portal to spiritual realization. This is the doorway to the embodiment of truth in your life, if you are willing to walk through that doorway. I've shared many times of my history, my story of addiction and recovery. It was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life, at the depths of my addiction. And it was the doorway into the greatest transformation of my life, because I was willing to be present, to step into a place where I could be reached and get some direction and change my thinking and my actions. The greater the shift, the greater the gift. So those of you who are in pain today, know that on the other side of it will be a new chapter of such joy and possibility. We have an affirmation today that I think you did. Who did not receive an affirmation card? Our ushers have those ready. They're going to come deliver them. Just keep them up. Keep your hands up until you get one. But we already have the affirmation on the screen. So whether or not you're experiencing any pain or struggle, just know that this is for you today. Let's read this together. All that I need to know is already within me. All that I need to know is already within me. Hang on to this. We're going to come back to it. For those who are, we're going to talk about purpose. I'm going to save that one for last. Purpose and passion. We have a lot of folks here who are doing great. You're not in pain, and you're also not in that kind of driven, exploring the possibilities of your purpose and passion, and that's okay. It's good to have a season where things are just steady as she goes. Amen? But I would be practicing spiritual malpractice if I let you stay in that everything is good enough place, because this is unity. And I'm going to invite you into the experience of the possible. So no matter how good it is in your life, can you imagine that it can get better? That there is something so good just waiting around the corner. Can you feel the aliveness of that possibility for yourself today? That's what we're being called to. It is always available to you. I will tell you that there is a subtle deception that occurs in passivity. The Scripture says, I would rather you would be hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll spew you out of my mouth. That's kind of a strange metaphor. But there is great truth in that teaching. That if we allow ourselves to get too comfortable, we will find ourselves not growing. We'll find ourselves not expanding or evolving. And so what I'm going to ask you to do today is to touch the possibility that maybe what I have is good, but not good enough for my soul's expression. And if you will, repeat these words again with me. Bring up the words on the screen again. And together, all that I need to know is already within me. And feel your possibility come alive. I want to talk about purpose and passion. Before I move into that, I want to contextualize, I want to soften this teaching in a little bit of a way, because I've heard two teachers recently say that we hear this a lot. You have to find your one thing that you do, your passion, and just give everything to it. And it is a powerful way to live into your life. But that's not everybody's path. It's not a thing. And I heard Liz O'Bannon recently talk about this. She said it's like when she would hear these stories, these that's not the word I'm looking for, inspirational speakers talk about passion. She was like, it was this thing outside me that I had to find, this one thing that I was supposed to do, and if I couldn't find it, I was broken. That is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about today is as Rumi describes it in this beautiful teaching story that Mary Morrissey uses a lot. It's as if we were sent here from a far-off kingdom, but with one task to accomplish. And whatever else we do or do not do, if we accomplish this task, all is well, and nothing else matters. And if we do not accomplish this task, nothing else we do or do not do will matter. And this task is the discovery and the delivery of the authentic self. That's what I'm talking about today. That there is a path of healing and service that is yours alone. I remember when I got a hold of this teaching, not too long after I had been sober a while, I began to feel that I didn't know it was going to lead me to ministry. I didn't know it was going to lead me to Unity of Houston, but I began to listen for what felt right now for me to step into. And I remember I came to a point where I realized I have moved into a Michael-shaped space. That I'm here bringing who I am into the collective, and I'm met and I'm supported. Emerson describes it this way. He said, the very fact that I am here shows me that the soul has need of an organ. Shall I not assume the post? Do you feel that? That you are incarnate now. You have this body and, yes, even that family. When's your next workshop, John? It's coming up next month, I believe, right before the holidays. Yes, this life situation you find yourself in is the path of your discovery and delivery. And it may well look like vocation and career and giving in that way, but it doesn't have to. But it is about stepping into the world fully as you, to do what only you can do and experience what only you can experience. There's an image I'd like to show on the screen. This is of a young man who I believe really typifies this this journey of the discovery and delivery of the authentic self. He grew up in a small town. Where is it? That image of the first image. Thank you, Luis. A small city in South America. Cute kid, working class family. They didn't have much money, but they were filled with love in their apartment. When he was 4 years old, his dad bought him a little toy baseball bat and ball and glove. And something happened in that kid, and he just began to come alive. His mom said that he would wait every day for his dad to come home after work, and they would go play baseball. This is a picture of him in his first uniform. He had something. Do you know who it is? Here's the next picture. This, I'll probably give it to you. Altuve! So I want to say, I can't be for sure that I can take credit for manifesting last night's win, but I do have to tell you that I had decided to preach on Jose Altuve way before last night's game. That I had, when I was thinking about a story that would describe what I'm trying to teach you today about your authentic path, your authentic expression, I just love this kid so much. When he would, it was discovered that he loved baseball, and he also just loved time with his dad. He would wait every day, and his dad would come home, and no matter how tired he was, he committed to at least 30 minutes of going to the nearby field to throw and to hit and to run. Jose describes that he would hit the ball, and his dad would be the one to go shag it, come get it and bring it back. And then when he would hit the ball over the fence on the first base side, it was over because they only had one ball. And the way that they got another ball was they would go to the local baseball team's games, and they would catch a foul ball, or if there was a home run hit, they would race to be the one so they could just have another ball so Jose could play baseball. They had another game there in Maracay, Venezuela, where they would twist a bottle cap, and then with like a broomstick, they would hit the bottle cap. I mean, that thing would just do this. And they didn't have anything else, and that's what they would do. And his hand-to-eye coordination, so incredible. So when he was on this team as an adolescent and young teenager, he had a gift, and people began to notice. He wasn't as big as the other kids, more on that in a moment. But he had this quick hands, and he could hit anything thrown anywhere near the plate. And he was fast. And so he was part of the Astros Academy there in Maracay. And one of the leaders of the academy called one of the Astros scouts, and when Jose was about 17, 18, and said, "There's this kid down here you need to come see. He's special." And so, I can't remember the scout's name. He's a great, great guy. And he had been in the Dominican Republic signing some possibilities for the minor league teams. And he came over to Venezuela, and he saw Jose, and he came up to him and he said, "I have $15,000. That's all I have left. Would you be a part of the Astros organization for $15,000? I think he makes a little more than that now. But Jose said, "You're going to pay me to play baseball?" And he said yes. First in Kentucky, in Corpus Christi, in the minor leagues. In 2 years, he was called up to the majors. That's really unheard of for a kid that young. Within another 2 years, he had the batting league record for the season. Incredible talent. You see gifted athletes, and some of them you just go, well, that's clearly what he was born to do. Can we show that picture of Jose next to Aaron Judge? Have you seen this? These are really the two best sluggers in major leagues right now. Which one would you guess would be the major league slugger? Aaron Judge, right? 6'7", muscular, big guy. You could just see the power coursing through his body to hit these home runs. And then there's 5'6", on a good day, Jose Altuve. Jose knew that he wasn't gifted physically to be a great athlete, so what did he have instead? Commitment, willingness. He trained like nobody else. Single-mindedness in focus. This is what he was here to do. And so he gave himself to the training and the exercises. When A.J. Hinch became I want to say our manager, I feel like I'm part of the team. John teases me about that, but I am helping them win every game. If they lose, it's on them. But when they win... But A.J. said that when he came to be a part of the Astros, Jose was already part of the team, and he was just amazed at his work ethic and his willingness. And he said, this was an interview I watched this morning, so last night, A.J. said, he's still that teachable. At the end of their first season together, Jose Altuve came up to the manager, A.J. Hinch, and he said, what do you need me to do? And A.J. looked at him and said, well, you're setting the batting records, but you don't have a Golden Glove. The next year, he had a Golden Glove award for fielding. Commitment, passion. I'm going to cry talking about last night's game. Oh my gosh. So, okay, I had decided I was going to talk about Jose Altuve, and I thought he can strike out in every at-bat. I know the people in my church love him. It'll be okay. But I was like, please, God, let him do something heroic. Game 6 of the ALCS, the American League Championship Series. The Astros were leading the whole game. Yuri Gurriel's three-run homer in the first inning. I'm not going to tell you the whole game. But in the top of the 9th inning, what happened? DJ LeMahieu, what's wrong with that kid? Spoiling my fun. That kid gets on base almost every time he gets up to bat for the Yankees. He tied it up, the 2-run homer. So, bottom of the 9th, strikeout, fly out, and then George Springer gets on base with a walk. Jose Altuve is next, and he's been watching everything going on. And he sees that Chapman can't locate his fastball. You didn't know I knew so much about sports, did you? You didn't, I know. I grew up in a baseball family. I was a terrible baseball player, but I love watching it. So the first pitch to Jose is fastball low. The second one's fastball high. Jose is watching. He's paying attention. He's like, he can't make his fastball strike. He waits for the next one, slider, strike. And he says to his mind, the next pitch is my pitch. He recognized his moment. I should have brought the clip. That pitch came across the plate, and Jose Altuve, home run. We won the game 6-4. Yes, let's give that some applause. World Series. So, I recognize that new member orientation is on opening night of the World Series. We'll get you out in time to see the end of the game. So come join Unity of Houston as your church by being there at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. So, what's this all about? Jose has stepped into many moments that didn't have that ending. He's struck out many times. Not many, but some. He's flied out. He's grounded out. That's what I love about baseball, that a really good season, maybe a team will win a little bit more than 50% of their games. The Astros have lost a ton of games this year. A really good hitter gets a hit maybe 1 out of 3 times. That is a beautiful metaphor for the spiritual life. You're not going to be perfect, and you will face obstacles in your journey. The 2 things I would like to bring from Jose Altuve to your spiritual path are, one is to be persistent. Emily Cady says it this way: when you first consciously desire spiritual understanding, you will not attain it at once. Time and consistency will transform your life. To practice your affirmations and denials, to take a class and to come to the class and to do the reading, to keep coming to church, even on a day you've been up late watching a baseball game. To commit to your spiritual path, to join a spirit group and show up, to serve in a community. You will begin to see results, but only in time. And the second thing I'd like you to bring to your own life from Jose's life is that he believed in himself. He never doubted that he could do this. And his actions and his thoughts were aligned with this belief. It was embodied. It was in him to live this life he is living. As I said, obstacles doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. That it's just the way it is. You will strike out sometimes. You will have injuries. These things happen in our lives. The point is, don't take that as the whole book. It's just a chapter. Joseph Campbell, amazing teacher of transformation, he says this: if you do follow your bliss, put yourself on a kind of track that has been there all the while waiting for you, and the life that you ought to be living is the one you are living. Follow your bliss and don't be afraid, and doors will open where you didn't know they were going to be. I don't know what your opportunity, what your moment to shine, to give yourself into life in a way you've never done it before. I don't know what that is for you, but I know it's yours. That there is something about your holy purpose for being born that you are stepping into in your life, and it is yours. And if you're willing to let that drop into you, move from the heart, from the mind to the heart, into your whole being, let's say this affirmation together one more time. Together, all that I need to know is already within me. Now let's have that picture again. Thanks, Luis. Let's have the picture of Jose with the swing. Look at that. Hold that in mind. There is a beautiful life for you. It is you. Batter up.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.